in this video we're going to have a little fun. Um, you know when you see a magazine and a story starts in one place, then there may be some ads, and then it picks up somewhere else. And you normally see at the bottom of the first part of the story, it says continued on whatever page. And then, of course, when you go to where it's continued on, you may see a little marker that says continued from whatever page. Okay, so let's see how InDesign can handle that. All right, so right now we're looking at a 4-page document. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this an 8-page document. So I'm going to go up to that little page icon right there. I'll click on the little grid. Well, actually, let me just pull this out so you can see what I'm doing. All right, I'm going to click here and I'm going to say insert pages, and I'm going to say give me 4 more pages, all right, after page 3, and we'll say okay. And as you can see, what it did here, it put these 2 spreads between pages 2 and 3 and page 8. So we have these 4 pages here, which probably we'll just say will have ads. All right, so now that we did that, let me just bring that back into the doc right there. And actually put this up so that it's up a little higher. Okay, so now we have an 8-page document. All right, so let's zoom in and take a look at this and see what we have. All right, so our story starts here. It says continuing pages, and it's got all of this text right here. And then, of course, it's it goes to the next 2, 3. But then after page 3, there are blank pages, and they could be ads. So we need to put in a marker that says, okay, well, where do we find this next page? So the first thing we want to do is we're going to go to the text frame, and we're going to add a text frame at the bottom. All right, we'll just make it about a pike and a half. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so you can see this. All right, so what I'm going to do is with the selection tool, I'm going to just tap this so it touches the frame above it. And then I'm going to just extend the width, and I'm going to type in here continued on page, and I'll put a space. And what I'll do is I'll make that italic, because typically that's an italic font that says, this story is going to continue somewhere else. And then the next thing I'm going to do is, as you can see, the text is very, very close to this continued on marker is very close to the text above it. So as I have this frame selected, I'm going to go up to Object, I'm going to go down to Text Frame Options, and I will say Align to the bottom. All right, so now it's aligned to the bottom. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my little cursor right after page, and then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go up to Type, I'm going to drop down to where it says Insert Special Characters, I'm going to slide over to where it says Markers, and then I'm going to go down or slide over again to it says next page number. I'll click on that, and as you can see, it put in the number 8 because that's where the story actually continues on that page. Now watch what happens when I move this frame away from the text frame above it. When I move it down and it no longer touches the text frame, all right, it just shows you that the page that it's on. But once you touch the text frame, then it says, hey, I realize that this story, this frame, if you will, is continuing, to page 8. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to copy this, do a Command-C or Control-C if you're on the PC. All right, I'm going to come over here to the page panel, double-click on page 8. Then I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to put it at the top. And in this case, since it's at the top right here, I am going to change the alignment. So I'll go up to Object, drop down to Text Frame Options, and then I'll say Align Top. Now right now you can see that this is page 8 and it just says continued on page 8. Well, let's change continued on to continued from. All right, so we have continued from, and let's right now we'll just we will highlight 8, all right, and then let's go up to Type, drop down to Insert Special Character, slide over to Markers, and then we're going to go down to where it says Continued from previous page number. And as you can see, it changed to 3 because it realized that this story actually started on page 3 and it jumped 4 pages. So it's continued from page 3. And once again, if we move it off the frame, it'll tell you what page we are on right now. But when it touches the frame, okay, it knows that the story is continuing from page 3. And the way that this is actually happening is if we were to view, I'm going to zoom out so you can see, the pages. All right, and what I'm going to do is with the selection tool, I'm going to click on the frame that contains the text, the actual body of text. I'm going to go up to View. I'm going to drop down to where it says Extras, and I'm going to say Show Text Thread. And as you can see, the story starts off. It starts off 1, 2, 3, and then it drops down to page 8. So that's how those markers know where the story starts and where it ends. And by installing those or inserting those markers, now you don't have to worry about changing any of the information because InDesign knows exactly where it is. And to test this to see if it is in fact true, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to delete page 7. All right, and I'll say OK. And as you can see now, it's changed to a 7-page document. So let's see where it says the next page is. There it is, continued on page 7. So that's pretty much how you can work with your continued on and continued from markers. In this video, we're going to discuss how to put in or how to number pages. So we're going to start with this 4-page document, all right? And let's take a look at it in the page menu. You can see it spreads. First page, 2, 3, and then 4. Now, in times past, many of us, we were, content to just put in numbers at the bottom, manually put in numbers at the bottom of pages, and just leave it at that. The problem with that is that as pages move around or as content is added, then you have to go back in and to make those changes manually, and it can be really cumbersome. So the best way to do this is to actually let InDesign number the pages for you so that you don't have to pretty much reinvent the wheel. So here's how we're going to do this. We're going to start by going to the master page. All right, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. And what we're going to do is we're going to put numbers that are going to be centered at the bottom of these pages. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a text frame. All right, and I'll make this, I can make it any size. I'm going to make this one 1.5 picas. All right, I'm going to take it, and then again I'm going to rest it at the bottom underneath the margins, and I'm going to go the width of the page based on the margin. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, I'm not going to type it in because I'm going to insert it. I have some shortcuts already set up, so I don't want you to do it because you don't have the same shortcuts. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. I have the cursor. You can see the cursor's right there. I'm in the Type tool. I'm going to go to Type, drop down to Insert Special Characters, slide over to Markers, and then I'm going to put in current page number, and you're going to notice that there's a letter A that appears down here. This A. All right. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to center it in the frame, and then to move it off of the frame above it or the margin above it, I will go up to Object, drop down to Text Frame Options, and then I will align it to the bottom. Okay, so now I have this frame with the letter A in there. Now, if you notice, when we put in the current page, it gave us an A because guess what? The page that we are on is the master page A. So now I'm going to take that, manually duplicate it. So I'll put my finger on the Option key or the Alt key if you are using the PC. All right, and then put my finger on the Shift key so that it constrains the direction, moves it straight across, and you can see I have A on both the left and the right hand pages. All right, very good. Now let's see what happens when we go down to, all right, page 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how you can automatically put in page numbers. So you might say, well, what happens if I add some pages? Well, let's see what happens. I'm going to add 2 more pages after page 3. All right, so I'm going to come up here to the page. Let me move this out so you can see it. Let me move this out. I'm going to come over here to the page menu, insert pages. I'm going to say give me 2 pages after page 3. I'll say okay. All right, so now once I've done that, I am going to come back to our actual layout. All right, and as you can see, it put in 4 or 5. Well, actually, let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it with the page menu. All right, and I forgot to put it back in the dock. So let me put it back in the dock. I come down the page. I had it out here. Let me put it back in the dock so we can see it. All right, so you can see I added 4 and 5 here after 2 and 3, and guess what? It renumbered it. So that's really the best way to do this. Let InDesign do all the work, and then this way it'll make it so much easier when you either add or subtract pages to your multi-page document.